Babyliciouses! Welcome to this extremely special episode of Babes in the Conclave. I have to say, I am so excited about this one. So to wrap up our coverage of Traitors US Season 4, today we're going to be reviewing the erotic audiobook The Snake Handler, as voiced by Rob Rausch. And I cannot imagine anyone more, frankly, overqualified to join me in this deep, textual, sexual analysis than the queen of loud and oh so wrong herself, Tranna Wintour, babe.
Annabel, I'm just as excited as you are.
So I believe it was you who first brought this masterpiece to my attention.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously Rob has had this incredible sort of victory lap post-win in terms of endorsements. Like he's everywhere. Like he was in MAC Cosmetics ads and the Sonic fast food ads, and like he's just been everywhere and banking those SpawnCon deals. It's insane. And it's smart of him to take advantage of it because I don't think that this is a thing that is going to last that long. Although, I mean, I could be eating my words, but I think, even in his interviews, he seems to be very well aware of the fact that, like, this is reality TV. He's a reality TV star. This probably isn't sustainable. So, like, milk it while you can. And one of those things is this partnership with Quinn, this audio erotica app, and they booked him to do a reading, and they posted this like hot teaser video of him in the recording studio, and as soon as I saw it, I sent it to you and Phil immediately.
Oh, and I love this. This was, frankly, the best sponsorship he could have secured. I think this was
Well, I feel like
genius.
more people need to do this. I mean, I know the boys from Heated Rivalry have done one as well. And I'm sure there are others. I mean, I took a look through the rest of the app. I didn't really recognize anyone else personally, but I feel like this might be a thing that's like really starting in terms of having celebrity guests narrate these stories.
And I just think this is so great because, like, honestly, how many girlies are signing up for OnlyFans? Like, I don't want to actually watch Rob Rausch bone down.
I
But,
do.
okay, all right, fair call. I
Like,
do
that
want
is
this.
one of the few OFs
Yeah.
that I would sign up for.
T, 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 T. I really want this, though. Like, this is perfect. And it actually comes at such a good time, Tranna, because you may not be aware, but Australia just brought in a law where porn sites have to verify the age of any users accessing from Australia, which means you are now given the choice between providing your driver's license information to Pornhub, using a
Which is
VPN,
crazy.
or simply not participating. Yeah. So a bunch of mainstream porn sites have simply just geo-blocked Australia and been like, we're not going through that whole hoo-ha. Like, how many boomers are going to work out how to use a VPN on their phone? I
Oh, for sure.
simply
Oh,
don't know.
it's wild. I mean, I don't disagree with that law, but I mean, at the same time, it, like you said, it is forcing you to be in this position of providing really confidential information to very sketchy websites. Like, that's insane. Is Reddit blocked?
No, Reddit, fine. You can still consume your
Okay, because
porn on
there's a
Reddit.
lot of porn on Reddit.
Yeah, this
I'm
is
just trying to
really,
help Australians out. Like, I'm not saying Reddit porn is ideal, but it will do.
this is like, it's really only affecting the boomers, is what I would say. But I do think that having more alternative and like less sketchy website forms of this is a great time in the world to be introduced to
Yes.
something.
And I will say, like, to your point of, the sort of difference between something as I mean, OF is definitely more extreme. Although I think a lot of the celebs that are on there, their content is pretty PG-13. It's not like X-rated or pornographic. But I think what's interesting about this moment and these sort of like multimedia platforms or outlets is that like you get the chance to sort of have this digital sexual interaction with a celebrity crush. Whereas, like, I think most celebrities would not join OnlyFans, but this is something that feels like sort of acceptable in a way because it's not that extreme, but at the same time, and we'll get into it, obviously, like, it is still quite sexual. Like, I can't even imagine what it would have been like, like when I was in my teens to like listen to an erotic story narrated by like Ricky Martin, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I would have lost my mind.
Yeah. Like, monetizing that parasocial connection between the audience and celebrities is, we know that's where the money is at, and I do
Yeah.
think that this is such a more accessible and less intimidating entry point.
Yeah, and I will say, like, I don't wanna jump ahead too much, but, like, it feels intimate, you
Yes.
know? And, like, I really took the time to, like, literally put everything on pause. I put on my headphones, I laid down on my bed with my eyes closed, and I really allowed myself to, like, enter that sonic space with Rob. And, it felt like he was there.
I know. It was just Rob, me, and the Satisfier Pro, and it was beautiful.
But I, in general, like, I am someone that is very drawn to voice.
Yes.
I think voice can be really sexy, can be really intimate. Like, I mean, I don't want to, scandalize anyone, but like, sometimes when I like flirt with people online, like sometimes with certain people, if the connection is there, like I will exchange like voice messages with them, like erotic voice messages, or even sometimes have like just like phone sex, like no video, just audio. And it is something that in general really turns me on. And I do think that voice is really intimate, just in general.
Absolutely. Actually, on that note, before we get any further, I should have started with an explicit warning. So I do want to have like a proper conversation about this.
Yeah.
So n- be warned, this is going to be a
This
R-rated conversation. If you are a child, if you are easily scandalized, this podcast prob's not for you, though you're also probably not a Babes listener. So yeah, this is your explicit content warning.
Yeah, I'm
And
glad you thought of that.
yes, Tranna, you've just started talking about this. I wanted your sort of backstory and relationship with audio erotica generally. So, like, I am so with you on the voice memo sexting. That is, to be honest, I would rather that 9 times out of 10 than actually boning down, frankly.
Same.
Yeah. So talk to me more about your relationship with audio erotica.
Well, this is honestly the first time that I've listened to audio erotica. I think like there were times, well, actually, strangely, like with my ex, when at the beginning of when we started dating, I remember he sent me, like, he found this like erotic short story online and he sent me like a whole voice memo, just like reading the whole story. And he really performed it. Like, he really put like effort into this and it turned me on so much. But I've never listened to something professional like Quinn. I've never gone down that rabbit hole before. I think when I was a kid, like, well, not a kid, more like teen or early teens, like, I do remember being at like the bookstore with my best friend and we found the sort of like erotica section and like there were books like Letters to Penthouse, and I remember us just like sneaking a copy and like going into a corner of the bookstore and reading them. And I am even, not necessarily erotica explicitly, but I've read very sexually charged books in the past that have like really graphic sex scenes, and even just reading it really turns me on. Like there's something about words and language and voice that really, really do it for me. But this is the first time that I've listened to like a professional audio erotic experience.
Did
What
you
about
love it?
you?
Did you love it
I
though?
loved it. I really
Yeah.
loved it. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
What about you?
Like, first of all, that is so hot of your ex-boyfriend. That is
I know it
so
really, I
hot.
remember it turned me on so, so much.
I also want to say that is not an invitation for strangers to start sending me horny voice notes, okay? Please
I'm
don't.
saying it is. You can send them to me,
I
but you have to be as hot as Rob.
yeah,
Sorry, like
obviously.
sorry. Like that's my criteria.
If
You
you're
can send me anything you want if you're as hot as Rob.
if you're insanely hot, we'll make exceptions. But there's no one that hot in my DMs. Um, so I have always loved audio erotica. I love reading it as well. It's
Yeah.
probably like my preferred like porn genre.
Okay,
I'm gonna
wow.
use that word. Yeah, because I'm so sensitive to violence, I would
Mm,
much rather something where there's no risk of me seeing anybody get hurt. Um,
right.
yeah, so even when we had free and easy access to something like Pornhub, I would always actively seek out where people are just talking to you rather than actually
Right.
doing anything. And so this, I had never accessed Quinn, and I'm not a connoisseur by any stretch of the imagination. I went a bit down the Reddit rabbit hole, trying to find kind of other people's perspectives on this, and there's
Okay.
diehard fans. I'm not in that genre, but this is very my wheelhouse. This was kind of made for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I think it is really cool,
Yeah.
honestly. And I did like after listening to the two parts of Rob's story, like I did go exploring through the app. I started listening to this other one that didn't really do it for me as much. But I'm curious to keep exploring on this app because I think it's really well done. And I think also, from what I've read, like this is an app made by women for women and the gays. And even there's even a video of Rob somewhere saying like he was in it. I think it was with Us Weekly. He did like a little interview and he said that he did this for the girlies and the gays, which is just so cool that he even acknowledged that like the gays would be listening to this. Like Rob is just that guy. Like I really think he is who he shows himself to be. And I think that's part of what made this experience so sexy is that, like, I think he had fun doing it. And also, to your point about the idea of an aversion to violence, which I think a lot of people have, like, Quinn just, like, even just in the Rob stories, like, it feels like it's very aware of that. Like, there's this dimension of consent that's very explicit in the story where, like, the character that Rob is narrating as, like, is checking in with his partner and like is kind of making sure that she's okay and like he even says at one point that we can stop at any time. Like I think that it's very mindful.
It was so perfect, and I really hope he is that person, I really do,
Yeah,
because
I mean, there's no way for us to know for sure, but
no.
I do suspect that he is.
Yeah, the girls and the gays are grateful, alright? The girls and the gays are grateful.
I know, I was just gonna say that, like, while I was exploring the apps, like, I do think that there even are, like, gay male stories, like, guy on guy stories as well. So I feel like between the gays and the girlies, there seems to be a lot for everyone on this app. And we're not, like, I even DM them because I'm like, hello, I'm like, my name is Tranna, I'm a comedian from Montreal. I'm gonna be promoting your app on Babes in the Conclave. I'm like, can you send us a promo code or something? Because I mean, we're doing them an enormous promotion right now, but we're doing it for the love of Rob and erotica. We're not promoting the app per se. They're not paying us anything or they haven't given us anything.
Quinn, if you want to sponsor Babes, I will do an entire spin-off podcast.
Well, they were a sponsor on one of my other podcasts that I love to listen to a while back. So they've done it.
I would do an entire podcast just reviewing Quinn.
So would I. I would be so on
Okay,
board.
alright, you and I, we're signing up
If
for
they
it
sponsor us.
if they sponsor
Yeah.
us. So let's give the audience some book details. So this
Yeah.
is The Snake Handler. It's written by Liara Shepherd and directed by Rob Valentine, but the whole thing is read, narrated by Rob Rausch. It's an episodic format, so it's released weekly. Each episode is around 20 minutes. There's 2 episodes out. You asked me, Tranna, how many episodes I think it's gonna be, if there's any more. It was very hard to get information about Quinn and the format online. It's not
Mhm.
being super talked about. There was, they are now going for this sort of celebrity narration angle, which hopefully picks up a bit more steam for it. But from what I can tell, it seems like a lot of the series have around 12 episodes. Whether
Oh
the
my god, so you think we might get 12 of these from Rob?
Maybe. Who knows how much he was charging, but I would.
Because I feel like the end of episode 2 kind of feels a bit like it kind of ends, like, conclusive. You know what I mean? Like, there's not really anything to hang off of at the end of episode 2 other than just imagining that this couple would keep having sex together.
But I felt like
I
that
didn't
with
feel like there
episode
was a
1.
cliff.
I didn't feel like
What?
there was a cliffhanger with episode 1.
I didn't feel like there was a cliffhanger per se, but with episode 1, there is the idea of the morning after.
Yeah.
So like knowing that there were 2 episodes, I could anticipate that, okay, episode 2 is like they're gonna have morning sex. But like not jumping ahead, but episode 2 kind of just ends with like, I never could have imagined that when we first met, we would have like gone on to spend all this time together. And it just, I don't know, it doesn't really leave me anywhere interesting.
Yeah, there's a time jump to 3.5 weeks later.
Yeah, which,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm so on board for more. But I would hope that if there's more with Rob, I hope that it's like a different story with different characters. Like, I don't know if there's that much more to go with these characters in this story because, and we'll get to it, it's a pretty basic story. And there's not really much to these characters.
Yeah. Paige is a questionable girly, which we will do a deep dive into
Yes.
her. So if you want to access this, you need to subscribe to the app Quinn. From memory, it's like a monthly subscription, about like 12 Aussie dollars a month, I think.
Yeah. Also
Um,
a little trick, and I don't know why this, although I apparently the reason why is because like Apple charges companies like service fees for the app. If you sign up on the Quinn website on your desktop, it's $2 cheaper.
that is such a hot tip. Love it.
So sign up on your desktop, and then when you log into the app, your subscription is set up so you save $2 on the monthly.
Love that. So that gets you unlimited access to all sorts of audio erotica episodes, some with celebrities, some not. This particular one, the Snake Handler, it's a self-insert. So Rob is playing this character, Alex, talking to this character called Paige, but it's like he's talking to you. You are
Yes, you
Paige.
are Paige.
When Paige is meant to be talking back to Rob, there's just like a couple of seconds of silence.
And
So,
you can
yeah,
talk out loud
yeah.
yourself. You can
We
pretend you're talking to Rob,
and we encourage it.
and we encourage it.
What were your overall thoughts? We've sort of talked about audio erotica as a genre. What were your
Yeah.
thoughts about the Snake Handler specifically? Just
Okay.
high level, yeah.
Well, the handler specifically, I do think the story is a bit lacking. There's not really much plot. I feel like the tension could have been heightened more. Like, I feel like there are sequences that are just so unrelated and not even, sometimes in erotica, there is this tension and this buildup that is done through like subtext and innuendo and suggestion. And I feel like some of that was missing for me. But I will say that Rob's voice is extremely sexy. And it's his voice that really elevates the whole experience. And one thing that I also really enjoyed, this has less to do with the story itself and more with just like the production. Like there are like sound effects and there is a sound design, and there are even moments where you feel like Rob is walking away from you and there's a distance in his voice and it moves from like your left headphone to your right headphone. Like it really is a sensory experience. And that I really appreciated. Like I wasn't expecting that level of production from this. So like there really is a sound design. There's that really puts you in this environment and that makes it feel so much more real. So I really love that aspect of it.
It's a real cut above your regular jerk off video, I've got to say. Like, this is this is high quality,
It is.
studio quality. Rob really walked into that studio and groaned into the microphone. And you know what? I have a very high pain threshold for feeling awkward and embarrassed. This
Okay.
was incredibly brave of him.
Well, yeah, but I didn't feel like it was embarrassing at all. Like I felt
No.
like he owned it.
Yes.
And it made and I again, it really feels like he got into it. Also, I didn't even think to look at, you mentioned it a moment ago, the writer credit and the director credit. There's something extra hot about the fact that this was directed by a man. Like, knowing that kind of makes it even hotter in a way. Um, but yeah, it makes so much sense that there is a director because it's yeah, like, Rob really gets into character.
And it was
Like,
clearly
Rob really
written for
puts a
him.
lot of yeah, and he puts a lot of feeling into this. Like, he's not just phoning it in. Like,
No.
he is getting into it, you know? And when he's talking, and like you mentioned, we're put in the perspective of the character, so it feels like he's talking directly to us. Like, it really does feel that way. I think that's the strongest aspect of it, is that the way that it places you in the story, so it feels like you're the one having these erotic conversations with Rob. Like, it really feels like you're having sex with Rob.
Yes. It takes me out of it when he keeps referring to me as Paige,
I know, I
but
don't think we needed the name
we didn't need the
because
name. Stick to
there's a
good
part
girl.
where
Stick to good
yeah,
girl.
stick to good girl, because there is a part where he does ask her name, and by the way, you never hear Paige.
No.
Like, it's only Rob. So when he talks to Paige or asks her a question, you sort of infer the answer based on how he's talking and the things that he's saying. But I think that, like, when he asks her name, and again, there's no response, and he just says that's a really pretty name, you could have just left it there. Like, I don't think we needed the name.
I I concur. I think when I'm looking at Rob's performance, I thought it was brilliant. You can tell he really gets into it. I thought he really nailed the sex scenes. I think he really nailed when he's sort of narrative or context setting.
Yeah.
Uh, this is his first rodeo when it comes to acting. So
Yeah.
sometimes the dialogue felt a little bit awkward.
Yes. I agree that I preferred the narrative parts versus the dialogue parts.
Yes. If I'm
And
look
the parts where, like, basically he's pretending to have sex with you, and his moaning is so hot. And that is something that in general, like when we were talking before about like audio and the things that turn us on, like for me, like sometimes when I am like exchanging with a guy, like I will just ask him like to send me a voice memo of him just like moaning or grunting. And that is something, I don't know why, but it turns me on so much. And I think that that was the absolute number one highlight for me, is Rob moaning. Like,
Yes.
Rob, again, he really gets into it.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like he's doing it.
Yes. You would never imagine he's just sitting in his studio with Rob Valentine pretending to be going at it.
I was just gonna say that, like, I think that this could have been so much more straightforward in the sense that it could have literally just been a reading, whereas this is an actual performance.
Yes. And I think that it was great. And especially when I'm with you. I think knowing somebody else is experiencing pleasure is a real turn on. Like, I want to know the other that's almost sexier. Do you know what I mean? And getting your head in that right space, knowing the other person is turned on as well. If I'm thinking about the narrative itself, so if I'm looking at Liara Shepard's script here, I would, even though there's not really a plot, it's still quite plot heavy. So I would say, if you're the sort of person who claims that to watch porn for the plot, this is for you. Like, if you're expecting the plot to be bad, not going anywhere, but still require it to be 90% table setting, this is what we're getting into. Like, I mean, we'll get into it, but the sex scenes do not last that long. It might be 20 minutes long, but only about 2 minutes of that is sex. The rest of it, we're talking about Hank the Tortoise.
Exactly, which we'll explain, but that was my main criticism, is that the parts that are not sexual, I think there was a way to make that narrative part still sexy, and I don't think it really is. Like, there were times like where the talking about, like, so basically Rob's character Alex, he has some sort of like reptile or like animal sanctuary, right, where he like sort of rescues like snakes, or like people in the community will like call him over if there's like a snake in their house and they need it removed. And like I mean, it's a bit like sort of ambiguous to me, like what exactly this house looks like, but it sounds like there's a room with a bunch of like animals in cages.
Oh, okay, let's get into it. Let me give you the tea.
Yeah.
This is full spoilers for the Snake Handler episodes 1 and 2. Let's do a plot. Yeah. Let's do a plot walkthrough here. So,
yeah.
You, Paige, your car breaks down near a reptile sanctuary where Paige goes to seek help. Her phone is dead, and there's something wrong with her car engine because she ropes in Alex, owns this reptile sanctuary. She kind of drags him out. He's a bit grumpy about the whole situation. And he's like, oh, no, your car engine's fucked. And the mechanic is shut until the next day.
Because the night before there was a big storm that caused a lot of damage.
This crazy, okay, let me just sidebar into Paige as a character here. This girl is hot, not smart, okay? She might be the best looking woman Alex has ever seen. Famously, though, Alex's main source of intimacy is his tortoise, so it's unclear how many points of comparison he has. But this bish decides to go on a solo road trip in a beat-up car in the middle of what seems to be a tornado without charging her phone. She then opts, no, God forbid I ask him to drive me into town to a motel. I'm actually going to go and stay the night with this dude in a reptile sanctuary that seems to be more of a snake pit. Like, the way he's banging on, there are snakes everywhere. She's not allowed to take off her shoes or like go to the bathroom without his permission, because this is basically an American vision of Australia we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she's now staying at his house. They decide to play truth or drink with some shitty beer, and then quickly bone. He immediately falls in love with her because he's just desperate for any form of human connection.
Well, he hasn't had sex for a long time. He's said it.
Famously, because his first penetration of Paige lasts exactly 2 minutes and 12 seconds.
I think it's shorter than that.
Yeah. I'm just saying he goes down on her for exactly 31 seconds, Tranna, before apparently...
Oh, you actually timed it.
I timed it. It's actually, he goes down on her for 31 seconds and she's like, oh God, no, it's so amazing. Quick, skip to the penetration.
And then literally 2 minutes in, he's like, are you ready to come? And I'm just like, no, I'm not ready, Rob. I'm not ready.
To come.
I need a bit more.
screaming. Anyway, the next day, now we're in episode 2, Paige overhears Alex being Rob, he's on the phone to the mechanic. I was listening to this on public transport, so I had to
Oh my God.
really like crank up the volume here because he's outside on the phone.
Yeah.
He's telling the mechanic, look, I need to get this bish out of here ASAP. She does not belong here. And this seems to really upset Paige because she flees out into the desert without shoes on. And like there are apparently literally rattlesnakes absolutely everywhere. This is a snake pit. Like you cannot move for rattlesnakes. But fortunately, Rob comes to the rescue, wrestles a rattlesnake away from her with his bare hands, and then explains this was all a misunderstanding. Actually, Tranna, he just meant she didn't belong here because she's too perfect. And if she stays any longer, he will fall deeper in love with her and be heartbroken when she inevitably leaves.
Yeah.
She agrees to stay. They bone down again. I only listened to this sex scene once, so I can't tell if they boned down outside or inside, but it was definitely
No, they
against a
were
wall.
inside. It was, yeah, it
Okay.
was inside against the wall. And yeah, it was hot,
It was
but
the
it was
second one was
shorter than the first one. And but it was better than the first one. So like you
yeah.
have to listen to it a few times to come, honestly.
You do. You really need to be rewinding. I mean, if we just
But what's good about the second like intercourse scene is that like like there's this I don't know if it's the sound of like his like foot like hitting the ground, but there is this sound of literal pounding, or I don't know if it's meant to be the sound of her back hitting the wall, but there is this sound of pounding that is happening at the same rhythm as his moans and groans, and it really works.
it's super hot. The second one is definitely better than the first.
But it's short. It's really short.
It's really short. I think it is. So in the first one, he is just sitting there. Like he's kind
Yes.
of just planking. He's like sitting on the sofa and Paige
And
is doing
she's
her
riding him.
business. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas in episode and it's very gentle. It's
Yes.
and heavy on the consent. Yeah.
Yeah. In the first one, he also says, like, I want you to use me for your pleasure. You know, so Paige is really the one that's sort of doing what she wants to do to him.
Yes.
And then the second one, it feels like he takes a little bit more control, but it's not aggressive.
No.
Like, there's still very much that he's always checking in with you. He's always making sure that you're still happy. I mean, but it only lasts a minute. So, like, there's barely even time to say anything.
Yeah. So I would say the primary, it's like praise kink is really lent into here. There's a lot of you're doing great, good girl, yes, what you want. There's a lot of
It's like
ask,
it's
yeah.
like Kris Jenner, you know? Feels like it's Kris Jenner telling you you're doing great, sweetie.
Yeah. You're nailing it, girly pops. Yeah. And a lot of
But
consent
honestly,
asking. Yeah.
yeah, but I'm not gonna lie, it is hot when he does say, "You're doing so good." What does he say? "You're such a good girl. You're doing good." Like, "Fuck, you're so hot." I love when he says "fuck." Like,
Yes.
I think one thing that was disappointing to me is that, like, oh god, I feel like I'm revealing way too much about myself, but I I do think it's hot to hear a hot male voice say words like cock and pussy and nipples, and like there's none of that. Like he just says you have a beautiful body, but he doesn't go into any details about the body. You know, and even like in the second one, which again I do think is the hotter one, there is this line where he basically says like, you know, like I like put my hand here and then I like push up into you. Like just hearing him say that was so hot. But I feel like I just needed it doesn't need to be graphic, but I just needed a few more like words to describe the bodies and what was going on. You know, like if Rob had even just said like, I don't know, like does that feel good? Like, you're so tight. Like, just if there were things that were a bit more detailed, because again, it really just stays very much in like, good girl, fuck, you're so hot, you're doing good, that feels so good, you look beautiful. That's kind of the extent of the language that's being used, and I feel like I needed slightly more graphic language.
I agree. And I don't think it would come as a shock to anyone that I love a bit of praise kink material. Girlie could live on a diet of compliments over here. So of course that bleeds into my sex life. But you're right, like, I needed more. I needed more, and I wonder if it's yeah, we're staying away from it getting too graphic, but I also wonder I got some I wanted to hear from other babes about, and I particularly wanted to know, would this resonate? It's very, like, male, female. Would this resonate with men as well? And I did
Well, I think
hear
that it would resonate with some, like, twink bottoms for
yeah,
sure.
well, I got a message from Kevin who said they were really into it, and I thought, like, not using that pussy language and making it a little bit more neutral.
Androgynous, neutral.
Yeah, does that
I
broaden its
don't
appeal? I don't know.
know. Well, I mean, to me, it doesn't.
No.
But I'm saying this as a trans feminine person, so I mean, I can't speak for the gays. But I think it's more, although I do think that's an interesting point, but I think the lack of graphic or more detailed language is because Rob is a celebrity. Because one of the other random stories that I dabbled into on Quinn, like, did use the words cock and was much more graphic in the language. So I think it's a celebrity thing.
Yeah, T.
I
Or
think it's already a miracle that we have Rob moaning and groaning. Like, so I think that had there been more graphic language that he might have said, like, that's too much, I can't do that.
and
I
you know
think it's
what?
more to do with his celebrity.
We're so blessed and grateful that we got what we got. So
No, we are, and honestly, like, when I first saw that video on Quinn that I sent you, this was better than I thought it would be.
this exceeded
Like, I
all
think it
expectations. Yeah.
yeah, I think it could still be even better, but I was satisfied, and, like, again, not to get too graphic, but, like, I did come while listening to it.
I was satisfied multiple times over multiple days. So again, I'm not we have complaints and let's get into the character analysis part of here because this is
Okay,
where I've got some things to say.
okay.
Let's start with our protagonist here. This is Alex. So this is the character that Rob is playing here. So Alex runs a reptile sanctuary in remote Alabama.
Mhm.
I would describe him as protective and considerate, Tranna.
Yes, I
Mm.
would too. Very
Oh,
thoughtful.
yes.
And I mean, this is how you can tell that this is something made by women for women, because there are not many men like this left in the world.
No.
But this is exactly what women want to hear. Like, I think, well, it's definitely what I want to hear and what I never hear. You know what I mean? I feel like men these days are so flaky, so inattentive, so unthoughtful. Whereas this Alex character, who again feels very much like Rob himself, like, is really concerned about Paige's safety. And, even though he's in a bad mood because of the damage from the storm, like, he really wants to make sure that she's okay and is safe. And he falls in love with her so quickly, and and like you said, like, he's so complimentary. He's just giving out these compliments left, right, and center,
And you
which
know what?
again is so rare, at least in my dating experience.
Well, this is one of my this is why I've kind of just completely given up on having casual sex with men because they are trying, their idea of what I want is performing what they have seen in mainstream porn. And like women just
Yeah.
don't want to be rammed from 60 different positions over the
Well,
course
speak for
of
yourself.
from over the course of like 20 seconds. Like, you can't build any momentum.
No.
They're constantly changing and insulting you. And I'm like, that this is just like not like ask. This is what we want, is we want to be asked what we want. And Alex
But I
asks
will
what she wants. Yeah.
Yes, but I will say that, again, as I was exploring the rest of the Quinn app, they cater to all fetishes and proclivities. So for the people who do like to be degraded or dominated, there is stuff for you there too. And I'm not even trying to sell you on the app. I'm just saying that it's there, like it's not like I think that it's cool that they're covering this like spectrum of sexual interests. But this particular story with Rob is definitely for the women who want to be complimented, want to be praised, want to feel taken care of. Um, but Rob still, like, I guess I should say Alex, but like, there is still this very strong masculine energy. Like, he's not a soft boy.
No.
Because I think that for me personally, that would have been a bit of a turnoff if it had gone too far in that direction. Because I like a little male aggression. I like a little male dominance, sometimes a lot. So I feel like it was this perfect balance of this sort of romanticism and gentleness and care, but with a man who is so masculine and rugged and strong.
And he's going to wrestle a rattlesnake with his bare
Yes.
hands, So, what I would say about Alex, his main character flaw, like, this dude, super lonely. Like, really lonely. As we mentioned, he's had this long dry spell, as evidenced by the 2 minutes, 12 seconds of first penetration. Like,
But he frames it as, and which I think is kind of funny, he acts like she's about to come.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's like, that's what I find funny, because he doesn't say, I'm gonna come, I'm gonna come. He's like, he can kind of like, he's presenting it as if you're really close,
He just
and
really
like,
cares about that simultaneous orgasm. That's the only reason it
yes,
was over so quickly.
exactly. Yeah. Which is that's probably the most unreal. Those are the two most unrealistic things, that this hot dreamboat of a man is lonely and that he thinks we're going to come in 2 minutes.
That's not unrealistic. I would say a lot of men think you're going to come in
Oh,
2 minutes.
I guess yeah. I guess that's maybe some of the difference between like the trans femme experience with men versus the cis women experience with men. Yeah.
So he's got, because of this social isolation, our man, Rob Alex, has some communication issues, I think it's fair to say. Probably caused by primarily talking to a tortoise for most of his life. There's no southern hospitality when Paige first knocks on his door. Frankly, he's a bit rude. And then immediately pivots.
But he apologizes.
He does. He apologizes and does pivot to insisting she sleeps in his snake pit rather than a motel where he's concerned, I don't know, she would be less safe than in the snake pit, Tranna.
I know. How bad is this motel?
I know. It sounds terrible out there. When I tell you, they describe it like Americans think Australia is. Snakes.
Well, I think it's also how a lot of us imagine like the Deep South in the US as well, like as this really scary place. Although I'd say we're more scared of the racism than the reptiles, but that's a different story.
Yeah. Paige is we racially agnostic. We don't get an answer on that either way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, like I think
Self-insert.
that, like you were saying before about how maybe the lack of graphic language is due to keeping it sort of neutral. But I think definitely the lack of character on Paige's part is definitely that neutrality, so that anyone basically can imagine themselves as Paige, because there's really not much to her character at all.
No. So Alex's backstory here. We find most of this out in episode 2. So his parents died when he was 19, leaving him with Hank the tortoise and the reptile sanctuary. And he's felt unable to leave this snake pit in the middle of nowhere, but has become desperately lonely, as obviously no sane person would want to live with him in a snake-infested shed.
See, that was the part that I found boring. Like that whole backstory, the whole thing of like, come see Hank or like, come see the animals I've rescued. Like, because this is the thing with erotica is that even when you're doing things that are not the sex, there still needs to be that sexual tension running through whatever else you're doing. And I just felt like in those moments it wasn't there. So it literally just felt like this weirdo guy telling you his backstory. And there was nothing remotely sexy about it at all. Like I kind of zoned out during that part.
Are you telling me you weren't aroused by hearing Hank the tortoise's backstory? Let's skip
Not
baby.
at all.
We need to
I
talk
was
about
almost
Hank the
going to
tortoise.
fast forward, but I'm like, but the episode is already so short. Like, what am I going to do fast forwarding through this?
You would think there's only 2 characters in this, listeners. There are not. There are 3, because Hank the tortoise is very present throughout these 2 episodes. Hank is a gopher tortoise, personality grumpy and entitled, and is apparently older than Alex. So, Alex was rescued by Hank was rescued by Alex's parents when Alex was a kid. The reason why his parents opened the sanctuary in the first place, he was apparently originally a pet for someone and fed on dog food. We hear all about his kidney issues. Like,
I literally feel like I didn't hear any of this. Like, everything you're saying right now, I feel like I'm hearing for the first time.
When I tell you I was obsessed with Hank Tranna, I desperately want a spin-off series. I want
No.
no. We need the snake handler
No, I think
retold.
Hank needs to die in the next episode, and Paige needs to comfort Rob with a lot of sex.
I want the story retold from Hank's perspective, as voiced
Watching them.
by Ron Funches. No, Rob! What are you doing?
That would be hilarious.
That's what I really want to.
Also, this is such a side note, but I don't know. The reason that this is you mentioning Ron is sending me on this tangent is because I just watched Ron on Celebrity Weakest Link. And he was talking about how he used to work at a call center and everyone thought he was a woman on the phone. I just also want everyone listening to this to know that Quinn also has a lot of content for lesbians. There are stories read by women that are for queer women. So again, like they're really the only people that won't be served by this app are straight men. And good riddance, they have enough.
Fair enough. And we have literally 4 pet hats who listen to the podcast. So
that are heteros.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pet hats are the heteros, yeah.
Yes. I love that, and I can't wait for Ron Funches as Hank watching as a bit of a voyeur king.
I love that. I'm so down for that.
Paige. All right, so let's get to the you character of this all. As I said, low-key a bit of a dummy-dumb.
Yeah.
I'd describe her as guarded and stubborn, but also proud and assertive.
And also reckless.
Very reckless.
Like, literally, she's the one in episode 1 who says to Rob/Alex right before they're about to have sex, she's the one who says, look, this is just going to be a one-night thing, no strings attached. And then literally the next morning when she overhears Rob say to his friend or coworker that she doesn't belong here, she literally just runs out of the house. Like, she's unstable.
Very unstable. And actually, you mentioning that, I wrote down my favorite line from these 2 episodes, which was
Okay, what
after
is it?
she tells him it's one night, and goes, "One night, no strings. Wow. And here I was thinking you'd fall madly in love with my magnificent snake castle." What?
That is so I know. But surprise again, his voice is so hot that even that won't take you out of it.
No. No, you're still like, "Okay, that was a sentence written down on a page."
Yeah. The only thing that ever took me out of it was all the Hank talk. Like,
So
even
much
Rob's voice
hate.
is not sexy enough to make Hank happen.
Speak for yourself, Tranna. You don't speak for all women.
I know, I am just speaking for myself.
Ah, so Paige, she's apparently recently gone through a bad breakup with her ex.
Yes.
Alex assumes that the ex was toxic, but I'm like, Paige seems very unstable. I wouldn't be shocked if she was the toxic one. And Tranna, if we do get more episodes of this, I am manifesting episode 7. The ex turns up and they have a threesome.
Oh, I would love that.
Yes.
Who should voice the X from Traitors?
Ooh. And Tom Sandoval. Tom Sandoval.
Oh. Yeah, I think that's a good choice, actually.
Okay, all right. Well, let's maybe talk about some of the heavy-handed symbolism here, because I did promise a deep textual sexual analysis. The wind. So the theme is really around loneliness and belonging, but the wind is recurrent here. So
Yeah, the wind is the catalyst for
yeah.
all of this.
The whole show opens with a monologue from Rob/Alex on his feelings about the wind. And he says, "The folks round here like to say the wind has teeth. That bad wind, when it blows through, will bite and leave a mark." And
That was good.
yes, my mother used to tell me that the wind was just a messenger doing its job, ferrying things where they need to go. So that the wind constantly comes back throughout the 2 episodes. For me, Tranna, the wind is that bringer of wishes, but that idea
Mhm.
that our dreams aren't always, when they manifest, what we imagine them to be. They're a source of pain as well as pleasure.
Well, his mom did say that you need to make a wish during the storm, and then when the storm clears, you'll get your wish come true, which is apparently having a crazy hot, but just flat out crazy bitch come to your home and fuck your brains out, but not even fuck your brains out. Like, it lasted 2 minutes. That's not long enough to fuck your brains out.
She
But
wrote
I
in
love the
here.
sound effects of the storm, and I have to say, I do think that there is something very sexy about a storm or, like, a very powerful wind. Like, there's this movie, Unfaithful, with Diane Lane, and the opening sequence is of her in New York City, and there's, like, just crazy strong wind, and she's wearing this, like, trench coat that keeps blowing open, and she has amazing legs, and she literally gets blown into this very hot man, and they crash into each other, and that's how everything starts, and so, like, I do think that there's something sexy and romantic about wind and storms, so, like, that was a great way for the story to start, and you do hear, like, the sound effects of the storm and the rain and the wind, and yeah, it's just it puts you into it right away. Again, as we said earlier, like, this is, like, surprisingly high quality.
It's well produced.
It's
I
well
al
produced.
I also wanted to reflect a bit more on Hank the Tortoise. Um,
No.
Like, why did we keep getting Hank? And maybe I'm grasping at straws here, Tranna, but is Hank a symbol here of commitment, right? Like commitment in that he lasts a really long time, it's slow, has to be nurtured properly with more than just dog food to grow and survive. Is Hank a symbol of Alex/Rob as someone who can be relied upon to commit and nurture that connection?
That is definitely one way to look at it. I think also Hank might be um a cautionary tale. And I think that Hank is maybe who Rob will be if he doesn't get laid.
Have
Rob
you
is going to turn into an old, lonely tortoise if he doesn't get laid.
have you ever heard tortoises have sex before?
No.
It's absolutely hilarious, Tranna. Look it up on YouTube, tortoises
Okay.
boning. It's imagine the slowest moving, slow-mo thrusting you've ever seen in your life, and then
But see, like that, like obviously the snake, the idea of the snake, and I think that even played into like Rob's persona on the Traitors, like with those tattoos, like obviously we all know that snake represents dick. So it makes sense to build the sort of imagery of the story around that. The tortoise is not, I mean, there is nothing sexual or sexy about a tortoise. And again, that goes back to my biggest criticism where, again, the things that are happening outside of the sex still need to be sexy. And Hank is not, no matter what you say.
It was just I had to include him as a character because there was so much
No,
about
there
this
was
bloody
so much.
tortoise.
Honestly, it made no sense.
Oh, it was absolutely incredible. All right, was there anything else about the snake handler that you wanted to get off your chest?
No, I would just say like my one other thing is just that sometimes I was wondering like do you think that Rob was, like, exaggerating his Southern accent? Like, he lays it on so thick. There were, like, a couple of times where I couldn't even understand what he was saying. Like, not, like, just a word or two here or there where, like, the accent was just so strong that I couldn't even understand him. Which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I just thought I'm just like, I'm wondering if he's, like, putting it on extra thick.
I think he probably was hamming it, and I'm not complaining, but I think maybe
No, and he did ham it up the whole way through, which we're so grateful for.
yeah, no, it was
Because
hot.
honestly, imagine any other sort of straight B-list celebrity doing this. They would have just phoned it in.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? But I feel like Rob really gave it his all. Like he was in it. Oh, and my other question to you, because we also hear kissing noises. So, like when they're making out, or even during, like when he's kissing her neck, and you imagine him kissing other parts of her. Um, I don't know if those kissing sounds sounded very realistic. Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't, but I was also wondering, I'm like, is Rob making those noises, or are these just, like, stock noises that they have in their, like, sound effect bank at Quinn HQ?
That actually, I did wanna talk about that. The kissing noises were the biggest ick for me.
Okay.
It felt like stock kissing noises
It felt like stock
inserted.
kissing noises, where I felt like if it was Rob making the sound, it would have worked.
I'd just rather more heavy breathing and groaning.
Well,
I
me
didn't need
too.
it. I didn't
I didn't
need
need
the
it, but I'm
kissing.
like, but if you're gonna do it, make Rob do it.
Yes. He
Don't
and
give me this generic sound effect.
if he'd half-assed this, I would have been really disappointed. This was
Me
not
too.
half-assed. Would you recommend this to the babes?
Um, I I think if you have a crush on Rob, this will drive you wild. But I think that if you don't have a crush on Rob, this is not gonna do anything for you, I don't think.
Agreed. Or yes, if you
Or no,
find
I mean, it might do a little something for you because Rob does have a sexy voice, but I just feel like, again, the language is not graphic enough, the story is weak. So again, if you're not turned on by Rob, because this is the Rob experience. You know, like the story is so inconsequential. Like it's all about Rob's voice, Rob's moaning, Rob calling you a good girl, Rob talking about pushing it up in you. That's what it's about. So if you're not about Rob, I don't think you're going to get much out of this. But, and I don't, again, I don't, it's pointless to say because I'm not here to sell the app, but there's a lot on the app.
there's a lot on the app, and I have 20 minutes before my next reading. So, meaning I may need to spend some more time doing further research on the other offerings.
Yeah, like I was almost going to listen to the Heated Rivalry Boys, but when I was reading the description, it sounded something that's like kind of like mystical or like kind of in fairyland. And I know that that's a really popular genre for erotic fiction. It's not really my thing, so yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I signed up for a month. I'm gonna make the most of this month on this app, and then I'll decide if I keep it or not.
And Quinn, again, if you want to sponsor us to make an entire podcast dedicating to recapping Queen
Yeah.
episodes, we are very receptive to that. All right, divas. Tranna, what have you got going on and where can the people find you?
They can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Tranna Wintour, and I'm always doing shows, so come see me, especially if you're in Montreal.
I love looking at the clips on Instagram as well. I wish I could live nearer Canada so I could come and see you.
Thank you.
And until then, I'll wait for your Netflix special. Um, Everyone, Babes in the Conclave on Instagram. Next week, we have the Traitors Turkey launching. Sarah Carradine and I will be covering that. And then only a few weeks following, Traitors Quebec Season 3 is coming out. And Tranna has promised Philly and I that she will be doing a special Babes dictionary for us, sharing some French Canadian words that we can all add
Yes.
to our lingo.
Yes. I'm excited for that.
Thank you so much for joining me on this
This was so
experience,
much
Tranna.
fun.
No, this made my life. Listening to this 2 episodes and then talking about it has permanently altered my brain chemistry for the
I'm
better.
so glad.
All right, babes. Bye.
Bye.